What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Major Keyz podcast with your host, Zach Wilson, talking to keyboard players about music and life and everything in between. And today we have a special guest, Mr. Isaiah J. Thompson.
What's up?
Clap it up. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man. Absolutely. So, yeah, little history about us. We met. You're one of the other people that I met at Berkeley.
Right.
5 week 2014. We're gonna start from the beginning, but like, how was that experience for you?
Oh, Berkeley?
Yeah, the 5 week.
Man, it was life-changing. I mean, I did it 3 times. I don't remember how many times you were there. So that's why I couldn't even remember where I was staying. Like I stayed in a few different places. And I just remember I mean, that's a lot of independence. At first I was like, I don't know if this is really a good idea to put a bunch of high school students gone for a month or 5 weeks, and that co-ed dorms and all this stuff. So I was like, I don't know.
When I was there, it wasn't. When I got there, I think they cut the
right.
They cut the co-ed thing when I was there.
I think
so how many years did you do it then?
Yeah, so it was 3 years.
Like, when did you start it?
It must have been. So maybe we said we did it in 2014.
I met you. I was there in 2014.
So maybe that was the second year that I did it. Yeah, so maybe I did it in 2013, 2014, 2015, gotcha. I want to say something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. Like I just I remember the freedom that it had, just trying to make sure you get up for class. I saw some people not get up for class, and it just really taught you, like, this is what it's going to be like, not just in college if you decide to do that, but also beyond that, where you do have to, whatever you take seriously, it's because you take it seriously. It's not going to be, your mom or whoever telling you got to get up for school, So I just remember, and when it's time to practice, then you set those times and you got to, sign out of room or whatever it is you have to do. I thought it was really good practice for later on in my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got you. Cool, man. All right, well, let's start from the top. How did you start playing piano, and just give us a little like walkthrough of how you got to where you are now?
Yeah. So my parents made me play piano. I wanted to play drums. And they said there's nothing more dangerous than a young person with nothing to do. So they put me, my dad had a foster brother who played piano. He thought that'd be a good outlet. So when I was around 5, they put me in like a classical school. I wouldn't really say I played classical music per se, or however you want to describe that type of music. And I stayed there for some time, and after a while I started to drop out of other things. I didn't want to do swimming and the fencing, whatever, all the things I was kind of doing, random things they had me in, and I didn't really want to play piano anymore. And my dad's like, yo, you can't quit everything. You gotta,
okay, got you.
And
gotta stick with something.
Yeah, he's like, you gotta stick with something. You can't just keep dropping everything off. And that's kind of around the time that I discovered jazz, and I fell in love with the music, and I was like, okay, I could get with this, and that's kind of when I got the bug, as they say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely get, like, if you were classically trained at first.
I would say, I mean, I wouldn't go so far to say I was classically trained, but I was in a classical school.
Okay, gotcha. Because I could definitely get, like, and then I don't know what level you were at where you were like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, like, if you were only like, I'm just doing scales, I'm just doing E2s, and like,
right.
This ain't really whatever. And like, like, I can understand being like, all right, well, I'm gonna keep it moving. I can understand that because you hadn't found like the joy in it yet, I guess.
You're exactly right. That's exactly what it was. I think for me, I was having a hard time connecting with some of the composers, and and I also, at that age, you're not even sophisticated enough always. I mean, I could just talk for myself. I definitely wasn't sophisticated enough to have an understanding and appreciation for the music I was playing. Now, when I look at some things that Bach wrote, I'm like, oh my God, this is incredible. Now, at that time, I mean, you 7 years old, you're not gonna No.
Right.
So I was like, I was looking to have fun in the way that I knew fun was,
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that I think jazz definitely saved me from leaving the instrument. Yeah.
Got you. So do you remember like what the first album or like maybe like the first songs that you heard that you were like, ooh, this is actually cool?
That's a good question. The first record I had. I don't know what the first one was, but I remember I had some like I remember I had a Bill Evans record.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Everybody Digs Bill Evans. I had Oscar Peterson. I had Night Train.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those are the ones I can remember, and I just remember amongst the rest of what I had because I grew up listening to my parents listened to R&B and gospel music. They didn't listen
Okay,
to
yeah, that's
jazz.
what I was gonna ask you. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were just kind of random finds, and I was like, oh, this is different than everything else in the library, and I
Mm-hmm.
listened to that differently, and I was like, this is kind of cool, and I think it stuck with me.
Got you. Yeah. So I guess you had a moment where you're like, I'm gonna keep continuing on with lessons. But then what was the moment that it's like, oh, I want to do this like for real, like as a career?
Yeah, my mom says because we were really close with the family across the street, which is the Adderley family. So if you know
Mhm.
about Cannonball Adderley and Nat Adderley,
Oh wow.
um,
You just casually lived across the street from them.
we lived across the street. So it was actually Nat Adderley's son, which is Nat Adderley Jr. So he was the music director for Luther Vandross. So all that stuff. I mean, I grew up listening to Luther Vandross. I mean, that was the
Yeah,
household thing,
of course.
and he'd be playing jazz sometimes too. And so I remember seeing him on TV. I don't know if he was playing, he might have played with Luther and then he did something else where he was playing more jazz. And I remember seeing that. And my parents tell me that they felt like they saw a change in me when I saw that on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got you. And so that's when you were like, I'm gonna do this for real life, like in real life, because like you saw like the possibilities, like, ooh, I can be on TV.
What be on
Like,
TV? That's funny. Maybe I was thinking that. I think that was the spark. When I remember when I was 14, when I got to be 14, that's when I was like, I want to do this. This is what I want to do with my life. I think
this
when I
sounds
hit 14, yeah.
like, I mean, like the paths were a little bit different, but I think I was like, I decided I wanted to do it for real. I thought I wanted to be like a classical piano player for real because like I was playing a lot of, I was classically trained, but
Hmm.
like also in the midst of that, I was learning like R&B and that sort of stuff too. Like it
Yeah.
actually took me a minute to get to jazz or like traditional jazz. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but no, it sounds like when I was maybe 13 or 14, I'm like, oh, I want to play keys for real. Like I want to do music as my job. So that
Yeah.
sounds like it's like a sort of similar situation because I had thought about quitting too.
Yeah.
I thought about quitting too, but I learned this song with the help of so many people. Waltz in D flat by
Hmm.
Chopin.
Hmm.
Like the it's really like the applause and like the act. I was like, oh, like I'm good for
Yeah, yeah,
real,
yeah.
you know. So it was like, all right,
Yeah, right.
so I thought I would just keep learning songs like that and just like, man, because man, your hands are moving so fast, and like I like just keep learning that sort of stuff,
Sure.
and then like, but I never, I'm not a classical music man. It takes so much dedication to do that.
It is
For
serious.
like it's a different level.
Yeah, no, I have friends that play that music. And I think as I got closer with them, I understood what they were doing and what it was that I was not doing,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was like, okay, I see the difference. So
Got you. What was the were you like gigging or anything in high school? Like did you ever like play at church or anything like that?
I never played. I went um a lot as a kid, that was just what I did, but I never played. Um I don't know why that happened like that. It just didn't happen. But I definitely got that sound in my ear, like I knew what the sound of the church was.
Mhm.
Um and then yeah, I mean, I was lucky in high school because I feel like we came up in that time of programming. I really think it's really special the time we came up in. Um at least especially in New Jersey, I can say where I grew up, it's like I had NJ Pack, New Jersey Performing Arts Center, had a program, Jazz for Teens. Jazz House Kids is like one of the most
Oh,
life
so you had a
changing
lot of good
things
stuff going on
for
for you.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and then talk about Berkeley stuff like that. I mean, I had so many these programs that I became involved in, and there was other students way my same age, like way better,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I remember getting there in the beginning, maybe end of middle school, getting in high school, and seeing how good everybody was. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so that pushed me.
Yeah, so I was like, did that like intimidate you, or was it like, okay, I gotta level up because they're
Yeah,
on this level, and so like I gotta get on it.
both. I mean, yeah, it's intimidating. I remember like they didn't play games. Like I was like I hadn't really played any Duke Ellington's music. I didn't know really a lot about him, you know, and it was like the first day in the big band, you know, there was like two piano players and it was the second big band, but they weren't joking around either.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
so, you know, they were like, yeah, this is intro, like learn it, this Duke Ellington. I was like, what is this? Like I
yeah.
never, you know, and then there's like, yeah, one, two, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, people just they don't really say anything to you other than just like, yeah, you know, make sure you check it out. But when that next rehearsal, you better have figured
You
it
better
out
know
because
it.
then it's gonna be a problem. Yeah.
Oh man, dog. Because it's not like, hey man, makes it like no one's giving you a step by step. It's
Right.
just like, hey, here's the songs, here's the sheet music, here are the charts.
Yeah.
At least be good to go in rehearsal. At least,
Yeah. I mean, they're, you know, they're definitely very giving with they had a lot of faculty, all the faculty taught private lessons and stuff. So they'd hook you up to be like, yeah, you should study with so and so. And like, you know, they're definitely very giving in that way. But also they were just like, when it's time to play, it's time to play. And from a like I said, a fairly young age, it's like, how serious are you? And we're gonna show you. We're not gonna like belittle, you know, or kind of diminish how serious we are just to meet you where you are. You have to meet us where we are, you know.
mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And so like being in that, I'm sure it helped develop your what's the word for it? I'll just say discipline.
Oh yeah.
Like the discipline to learn and be on time. Like all the elements that are needed for a musician who's trying to work today.
I mean, I would say I think in the beginning it was the beginning it was just you didn't want to be embarrassed. I think it was the shame thing. It was like you don't want to be shamed, you know, you don't want to feel embarrassed, so learn your part. And then eventually it became a respect thing, which is like respect your peers. So you know you don't want to waste your peers' time because you didn't practice your part.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became a respect for the music. Like I have to hold the music and the composer with enough esteem and understand how intelligent they were and just have that dignity, respect the music with the dignity that it deserves. So yeah.
Got you. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. And so okay. So do you remember like your first concert that you went to, like actually seeing it in person, like after listening and discovering like Bill Evans and like Duke Ellington? Do you remember like your first concert? Preferably like a mainstream artist, but like anyone like that you saw and like you actually saw them in person, even possibly got to meet them, and then it just like really like changed your perspective on it.
Yeah, like my okay. It could be one or two things. I think I used to go see, like I said, Natalie Jr. would play trio
Yeah.
at this club in Montclair, New Jersey called Trumpets. That might have been the first thing
Mm-hmm.
I really heard like a live gig.
Mm-hmm.
And where I heard like, okay, I'm hearing jazz and like I'm hearing the difference between, you know, R&B and then like this jazz. And then, you know, and he would play both. You know, that was one. I think another one might have been Christian McBride because Christian McBride, he ran him and his wife run Jazz House Kids. It's their program. So
Okay.
he would give concerts to the students. So maybe at one of the camps, hearing him play for us, the students, that might have been one of the first ones that I heard. Also, those were some amazing concerts I remember.
Right. Because I know, like, I remember, because you can listen to the record all day, but seeing them in person, and then especially like if they're doing songs that and then
Yeah.
hearing the difference between the like the record and like the live, or even hearing the familiarity and then
Right.
listening to how they change it, but then also listening to how they change it in the middle can just be
Right.
like super super mind blowing. Like I remember, um, I used to like this. I still like him, but there's this kind of smooth jazz piano player. His name is Brian Culbertson,
Okay.
and I used to like him a lot. And like there was a show that he did. It was like Dave Koz, Jonathan Butler, those sort
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
So like that was like the first real concert I went to. That was in 2010. My grandparents took me, and like there was only like he had this live album, like Live from the Inside, and then
Okay.
there's like this one song, and like he did like this solo on.
Mhm.
Me and you could play that solo now. It's really,
Yeah.
but like that was like the first time that I had ever heard anything like that, and I
Sure.
was just
Yeah.
like, whoa. And I was like, so when I was told that I was going to the concert, I was like, he just needs to do that one song, and I'll be good. And he
Yeah.
did it, and it was just like, dog, there's so much that you can do. And then also just watching the auxiliary keyboard player in the background,
Mm.
like, oh, you can just be chilling, but
Right.
like you're
Right. Right.
still
Just...
like, you're not the front person, but you're still, on the stage. But
Yeah.
I am hopping around, but like you are a front person and a band leader. How do you think that's different, or what are the pros and cons of doing that versus you just playing in the group?
Mm. That's a good question. I hmm. I set out to be I didn't set out to be a band leader. Like that wasn't
Yeah.
like my goal. I was trying to definitely follow the formula of be a great sideman for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've definitely been getting a chance to learn. I'm playing with this great guitar player and vocalist, Dame John Pizzarelli.
Mm-hmm.
So we go all over the place, and it's very much in the Nat King Cole style, without drums trio,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a very specific way of playing, and it really teaches you how to comp, how to play behind somebody else, and really understand your role. Don't get in the way, because there's two comping instruments. There's a guitar and piano. You don't want to get in the way. You have to pay attention to frequency, tone, volume, all these things. That's a very serious dynamic to have.
Yeah.
It has a history of it working and a history of it not working. So you have to
And
decide
then
which
there's no
one.
rhythmic, like support either.
What's from us,
Yeah, I
well,
know.
he's
I'm like,
playing, yeah, and
no traditional rhythmic support,
right. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, right. And in that style, it teaches you to really pay attention to the rhythm guitar, that the Freddie Green, pay attention to Count Basie, how they play chung, 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 chung. This kind of a dying art form. He can play the mess out of that. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
just, the way he plays that. So I think that has definitely informed me as a band leader, just seeing what he does, how he does it, on and off the bandstand too. It's like about traveling and how to deal with stuff like that. And then I think for me, thinking about how can I make the people in my band feel comfortable. I think musically too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you want them to feel comfortable. I think about people like Art Blakey, or people like Miles, or Wayne, or whoever, like they would talk about writing for the people that are playing it,
Okay.
not just for the instrument. To say like, or Thelonious Monk, he was writing for Charlie Rouse. He's like, I knew he would play it this way. Or there's this one note where Rouse is like, this is kind of really hard for me to play this note, and he's like, I know, I wrote it that way because I want the struggle in the sound. Thinking
Oh.
about it like that. I think people like Wynton Marsalis being around, talking about having a certain being super specific about why you wrote it that way, why you want it to sound the way it sounds, and why you chose that person to play it.
Got
So,
you.
yeah.
So like intentionality.
Yeah.
So that's on the bandstand. So what do you think? How do you think you convey that off the bandstand? Like, being the best band leader off the bandstand. Because I mean, like, it is, because I'm sure like the people that you're playing with, I'm gonna assume that like you're already friends with them.
Yeah.
But you have
Yeah.
to but like when you're being a band leader, you do have to kind of turn into a boss. And
I
it
guess,
is kind of essentially,
yeah.
just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be I think it's the concept. I've been trying to just get better at the concept of grace. It's like, how can I be gracefully a leader? Right. It's like you have to be in a certain way. I don't want to say this word, but you have to be in a certain way dominant, because this is your, thing that you're presenting yourself. So you have to be accountable for all the things that are happening. But at the same time, you don't use that on somebody to get them to do what you want to do. You use grace. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So when I'm asking somebody, hey, can you play it like this? One thing I try to do, especially with drummers, is I try to give good examples. I'm like, hey, so this on the A, like if you play this, it's kind of like Art Blakey would have played it. And then the bridge is kind of like if you play in a snare drum, something like Billy Higgins would have did. And if you get here, you know, I just try to explain it to them in that way. And I'm like, does that make sense? And if they say it doesn't, I'm like, okay, cool, let's talk about it, you know. Or if they say, well, it's okay if I do this, I'll be like, okay. And that's why it's important to hire somebody for who they are. Don't try to make them into what you would do. You know, it's kind of a fine line. Whereas these are non-negotiable, and these are. Then you got to kind of figure out the middle ground.
Right. Yeah. I was actually talking to my dad about that the other day. I'm like, you know, yes, this is like, you know, like when I'm working on a song or like when I'm MDing or whatever, knowing, you know, like knowing your role in the situation. Cause, you know, I've been MDs for other people that aren't me, but then like of course I MD like when it's Zach Wilson.
Right.
But, you know, it's definitely like, you know, knowing that the people that you work with, sometimes it does have to be like, hey, this is it. Like, I'm not changing it.
Right.
But then also having the humility to hear them out and be like, you know what, you might be right. Maybe we can like rework this, you know, and like just getting I guess it's a lot of getting your you know, you can't have too much ego. Like you said, like you do have to be dominant just a little bit, but not dominant enough to be like like I don't want to hear anything else that anyone else has to say.
Right. I mean, at least I feel like the music, I mean, jazz is supposed to be a democratic music. You know, it's supposed to be someone can say what they need to say, and this person can say what they need to say. Now, balancing that's the hard part, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what it is. That's the nature of what it is. So
got you. Okay, so going back, your music school experience. So you already had like 3 years of Berkeley, and then you went to Juilliard, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
And you went and like graduate, like you went the whole way, right?
Went the whole way.
Okay,
I did a 5-year master's program there. So 2015 to 2020. Yeah.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
So you got out right on time. So what is that experience? Because I've heard, I don't know if I know anyone who went to, I know a couple of people. I know like 1 or 2 people who went to Juilliard. I remember when I thought like when I was playing classical music, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Juilliard. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But no, so tell me what that was like. And then Juilliard's in New York. So but you kind of already hung out in New York a little bit because you're from.
Yeah. Right? I mean, it's definitely, I mean, I used to come into the city once a week because I was a part of the Jazz Lincoln Center had a youth orchestra that started. So I did that for about 2 years in high school. But I really wouldn't say I had an understanding of the city because I would just take the same train, go to the same spot, and come back. You know,
was it the A train?
It was the 1 train. I would take the 1 train. Yeah,
you know, I was trying to.
Right.
Yeah. Because
it's all good.
So tell me how that like how that was, because I know Juilliard is strict, but then also in a way I don't know if you feel a pressure in following some of the people that like went there. If there's like ooh man, I'm here, this person went there, this person went there, it's like I know for sure I have to be on it.
Oh, I see what you mean. I mean, I would say the most that I had felt that was that a lot of the students in high school that were part of that program, Jazz House Kids, a lot of them ended up going to Juilliard. So I think if there was any pressure in that way, you know, and not just Juilliard, like the Manhattan School of Music, New England Conservatory, or Berkeley, you know, for that matter. So I think there was definitely some pressure. Like, you know, if you didn't want to do that, that was fine. But I knew that I wanted to do that. I wanted to go to conservatory. So and I thought that Juilliard might be a good fit for me. You know, it's not for everybody. But yeah, getting there, I mean, it was deep. One of the first things I talk about is that, you know, I think there was 8 of us in my class. There was 8 of us in the jazz department in my class, and we ended with 4, you know. So and then the people that did the 5-year masters, it was 3 of us, you know. So it was really intimate, and you know, there are definitely certain pressures in the school, but also just in life. So I'm just that might not allow someone to finish, you know. And finishing that is not for everybody either, you know. So I definitely was super grateful when I was done. I made it through, you know.
Yeah. Got you. Cool. And then I want to touch on you playing with the Jazz at Lincoln Center, because you actually got all the way to like the main
Oh, I
group,
see.
right?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, they had a concert. I can't remember, it might have been 2016 or something like that. They had a concert and they just wanted to feature pianists through all the decades because they were it was a concert dedicated to pianists,
The
jazz
handful of keys
pianists.
thing, right?
Yeah,
That's what we're
handful of
talking about.
keys.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, right. And so I guess I represented the 20-year-olds. I was 19, but I represented the
yeah. Okay.
20-year-olds, and I just got to play with them. So that was definitely life-changing also. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just know I feel like Winton is like a mentor to you in
Sure.
a way. So tell
Yeah.
me what it's like getting, that sort of wisdom and that sort of just experience hands on, because of course he's regarded as one of the greats.
Oh, he is. Yeah, no
Yeah.
question. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that's like a good, someone kind of pushing you in the right direction. They pushing you to always get better, and I'm super grateful for that. I mean, it'd always be like, a lot of questions. It's like, okay, well, why did you choose to make that decision? Why'd you do this? Blah blah.
Like you asking him or him asking you?
Him asking me.
Okay.
Like and that's what you're talking about. You had the perfect word, intentionality. He's always about being intentional about everything that you do. How hard are you listening? One of the first things, just to give you an example of how we talk and how he speaks and how he thinks, it's like I touched on it before. It's like, okay, the drums, like the loudest frequency is the cymbal, but the lowest frequency on the bandstand is the bass, but they have to play together, right? But then the piano, you can play on all the frequencies, right? So you have to play here. I mean, it covers such a wide range of tone, but you don't want to get in the way of any one of those frequencies. And then depending on who the horn player is, if there is one, they're going to be playing in a certain way. And you also can't get in each other's way rhythmically. And then you have to think harmonically. So it's challenge you to think, right? Go ahead.
And then in the middle, you have to be yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then you have to be yourself. So challenge you to think about all those things at the same time. And I mean, when you listen to recordings, I mean, you can hear that. You can hear that from Duke Ellington. You hear that from whoever that you listen to, Hank Mobley, all these people, Wynton Kelly. But to have somebody explain it to me in a very clear way, he has a certain way with words. So hearing him explain it to me in that way was just amazing for my growth, I think.
Yeah, got you. Do you think that I mean, like, I know jazz is a culmination of a lot of music.
Yeah.
But do you think because you don't really play anything else other than jazz for real, or do you? Because I'm not sure.
No, that's a great question. That's man, let me think about that. I would say I'm dedicated to playing jazz. I would say that I grew up on, let me say it this way. Like I grew up on R&B and gospel music, but I respect people that play organ and play synthesizers and can play that music so much that I wouldn't even feel comfortable calling myself like a piano player that can play that would play those styles like on a gig,
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that I just have too much respect for someone just to say, yeah, I play this and I also play this, because I don't really. I could, but I like at home or or something like that. But to play it on a stage, I would feel like it would be disrespectful for me to say that. Yeah.
So two things. Do you think you would ever dig into branching out and anything like that? And then second, why do you think it's so important to keep alive the tradition of jazz? Like why why stay? Because I do believe it is important, but also I like doing a whole bunch of other stuff. So
right.
Where does that passion come from for you? Like, yo, I'm gonna do my best at really upholding the tradition of jazz.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think a lot of times with jazz musicians, it comes across like, oh, we're saying our music is better than other types of music, and that's not it. At least in my case, I can only speak for myself. I think I just personally feel like I connect with the swing rhythm and what swing is, what it stands for. That's just personally for me, and for no other reason, honestly. I think it's just I like that feeling. I like getting on the bandstand and swinging like that. That just has makes impacts me a certain way.
Yeah.
Now would I be open to? Yeah, of course. I mean, I love I've definitely been getting more into more contemporary, like Christian and worship music, hearing that. And I mean, how could you not love Stevie Wonder's music? I mean, I've definitely played that on gigs, it's like um it's kind of a fine line for me. I feel like I have so much work to do just in jazz. It's sometimes I feel like it's not that I don't want to get to other things, I just didn't have the time to,
I got you.
So it just kind of ends up being that way, but it's not meant to separate those things on purpose. It just ends up going that way for me.
It's just you're just dedicated to the one thing,
Yeah.
which is fine. So you say like you've got a lot of work to do. I mean, like, I guess don't give away too much or whatever, but like what does that look like for you?
Sure. I mean, I think it's always good to work on. I mean, man, that's a good question. There's a lot of stuff I'm writing. I'm always writing stuff, and hopefully people can hear there's definitely other influences in the music that I write. It's meant to be jazz, and it is jazz, but there's definitely other things that you can hear in it. And I think I get, honestly, my mind just gets filled with things that I have to write down, things I want to work on with it, my time, get my time together, tunes I want to learn, and a year goes by, and it's like, wow. So sometimes it just happens that way.
Got you. Your first album that you did yourself, I believe it was a Monk tribute album.
It was Buddy Montgomery.
Buddy Montgomery tribute.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So tell me how you decided to come about that, and then like your the first introduction to, I guess it really wasn't the first introduction to the world, but it's like your first project. This is what I'm putting out.
Yeah, no, I mean, because Buddy Montgomery, a lot of people don't know about. They know about Wes Montgomery, but just to know about, he had a brother, Buddy Montgomery, and then there's Monk Montgomery. It's like, I was approached. Someone showed me his music, and I'd never heard of him. And I mean, there's so many photos. There's actually, I've seen one photo at least of him playing vibes with Miles Davis. He was supposed to be in the group, Paul Chambers, Wynton Kelly, and Miles, he's supposed to be on that tour. And I think it was something about getting on planes and traveling. He just couldn't do it.
Interesting.
He had about a fear about it. And just learning about all these, I call them maestros of the community. There's all these just people that we didn't necessarily hear about, but it didn't mean that they couldn't play. I mean, he's an incredible musician. So someone showed me his music, and I was like, wow, this is great. And they wanted to make a recording of the music. And they were like, will you do it? And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I definitely had a template of things that I wanted to do, different types of recordings I did. I definitely wanted to do a tribute recording at some point. I hadn't decided who it was going to be.
Yeah.
And it just kind of ended up happening that way.
Got you. So how long is that process like from somebody showing you the music, you digging into it, and then being like, okay, I'm going to agree to do this record up under your name as your first album? And then like, what's the process like how long do you take like digging into his music and then being like, okay, I'm confident enough to play it in a way that honors him authentically?
Yeah, that's a great question. The first time I heard his music, I think I was in high school. I was in, I can't remember, my senior year or something like that, 2015, something like that. And then I didn't record it, I guess, until like 2019, 2020, whatever it was.
Okay, gotcha.
So I definitely want to spend time with it to make sure, first of all, I understood what it was. It's not just the notes. You have to understand like how his time feels, why he chose to do that, what the concept was. Conceptually, it's so important. And you can't just get a concept in a day. You have to sit with it for some time and see how it makes you feel, and then understand where you can fit in within that concept. So I try to be, like we were talking about before, respectful in that way. It's really spend some time. So it could be years, but I guess it depends on the project. Yeah.
Got you. So, because like it was kind of introduced to you, you're like, okay, but then like you came back to it and because it's not like you weren't like listening and studying like every day for like 4 years.
Right.
It's
no.
more of a back and forth kind of
Right.
picked it back up sort of situation.
Right. Someone showed me his music and I was like, oh, this is cool. And, I would listen to it. And it was like a few years later, it's like, yeah, I want to do this recording of his music. And I was like, all right, like, why not? And just ended up happening like that. Yeah.
Got you, man. Got you. And then now just recently, The Power of the Spirit.
Yeah.
So, and that's you.
Yeah.
That's all Isaiah J. Thompson.
It is.
So
it is.
So walk me through that.
Yeah. So The Power of the Spirit is like a compilation of gigs that we've played over the past few years. And I mean, I've been playing those tunes. I wrote all those things, and it came time where I was like, I should record these things, because now I'm starting to feel like I want some new things that I want to do,
Yeah.
And so I was just feeling like, oh man, I might have that vibe of like trying to make something happen that should have happened a long time ago, And then I started to think like, I know it was recorded. Like I started to think about it, I know it's recorded, and then we found all these recordings of the music that we had played, and I was like, let's just do this. And I knew that was another template that I wanted to check off. I wanted to do a live recording at some point, and so it happened that way,
Nice.
And I'm glad that it did, because I would have had a hard time trying to recreate something that we had already did. It felt fresh when we played it then. I don't know if it would have felt fresh me trying to recreate that energy years later.
Got you. So to confirm, these are not all from one show.
Right, they're not.
Are all like scattered. Like, what's the oldest one? Like,
right. So I think it's from 3 shows. I think the oldest one is from 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, the oldest one is from 2020. I believe that's correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I was just super glad just to hear I'm super grateful that I feel like I have almost a diary. Like I can see some of the things that I played, some things I wouldn't play now.
Really?
But
yeah.
But that's, and not just the tunes. I mean, just the way I played it. Just hearing certain things that I played, I'm like, who is that? But I'm super grateful that I have that reference. Like this is what I was doing, and I'm proud of it. Like even if there's some things that I wouldn't do now, that I'm like, I don't know if really I would do that now. I don't really like it. I'm proud that that's where I was at that moment, and I have evidence of that's what I was doing.
Yeah, got you. What song on there do you think was the hardest to write?
Oh, that's a good question. The hardest to write. I think Soul Messenger was kind of hard. It has 3 different sections really. There's like an introduction. I wrote that after the late great Harold Mayburn passed away, and just started thinking about different people in your life, that have that sort of energy, that kind of soulful atmosphere to them, and can just kind of make you feel better,
Yeah.
And I remember writing the intro like, okay, what would something like Wayne Shorter would write? This is maybe what he would do. And then like the A's, the start of the melody would be something like what Harold Mayburn would have played, maybe. Then there's a bridge section, so I definitely had some more influences, maybe more R&B influences. And then the end is like just kind of like a vamp at the end, so that one was hard because it's also long. And I honestly was like, I'm not sure if anyone's gonna listen to this because it's live and the tunes are so long,
Right.
So I was like, but
I'm just gonna to tap out in the middle,
Right. I'm just gonna. I think that was the thing about it was, I'm glad that I can just release this for what it is, and I don't know if I'll do this again for some time, just because tunes are so long, and you can't always do live recordings that are 11 minutes long,
Man, you can do, man. Come on, bro. Do your thing, bro. That's what I say. I'm always an advocate about people doing their thing. I mean, like there is a okay, well, this is a good question. I mean, like, because there is a balance of like, this is what I want to do, but also you do have to realize you do kind of sort of have to make sure that it appeals to an audience. So where does that balance come in? Like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it like this because like people might tap out or like whatever. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I try not to underestimate the ear of the audience. I think I think if you play it a certain way, you play it with enough passion, and you really spent time to try to be you, but also take them into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think we can challenge them. I mean, people will listen to some hard stuff. I mean, Stravinsky, all this stuff. I mean, people listen to that. So
Right.
they can listen to that, some stuff Gershwin. What I mean, they can listen to, some stuff that you can come up with.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I think sometimes we don't give them enough credit. Now,
Mm-hmm.
like I should say, like I was kind of getting at, is you don't want to completely just say they don't matter, because they spent their money to come see you, and they
Mm-hmm.
should feel like you appreciate them for at least being there. Like you're not just
Right.
playing in your room at home.
Yeah.
At the same time, they came to see you.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a fine line that you have to walk.
Yeah, because like we're often like we're both fans of musicians, but like sometimes I wonder, I was like, how does this sound like to just a listener,
Sure.
like just a fan, like someone who's not a musician? And I'm like, how does that, like, is it comprehended or like processed by them? And I'm like, I guess sometimes I'll know, or like sometimes I'll hear it and it's just like it's just not a in-depth thing. Because
Right.
we can watch a performance and dissect everything like within
Right.
like a minute,
Yeah.
especially like, and then like just watching band mannerisms, like, oh man, they actually didn't mean to do that, they missed that count, and like all that sort of stuff. But like the audience is like, oh, it's killing.
You're right.
Like
You're right.
I had no problem. It's like, the one song was funky, the one song was this, the one song was that.
Right.
But no, I've that's kind of been like a thing in my mind. Like, how do non-musicians just listen to musically complex music? So
Sure.
But it's just something that I just got to wonder about, or I can just ask people too.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think you kind of I remember hearing someone saying this, like it's kind of annoying in a way, but sometimes you have to show them that you can play. Like you have to kind of show them, like, in a way. So you have to kind of extend your hand out, like, come here, like, let me show you something, and you kind of gotta entice them in a way, but that doesn't mean don't show them, so yeah, it can be hard.
Got you. Now this question might be difficult, but I feel like you can answer it. What do you okay, let me make sure I word it right. What do you think jazz needs to move in a upward direction? Because there's the whole thing, jazz is dead, jazz is whatever. Like, what do you think the jazz music or the jazz music industry or the business or even like community needs to move forward?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or at least to stay relevant.
Yeah. I think it is relevant. I think I'm not saying you're saying it's not. I think one thing is understanding the role of the music. That was something that I heard someone talk about recently, is that it's not meant to be all like these other types of music. Like depending on the thing, it has a different purpose. Like it's not meant to be loud. Like it's not meant to be played at the halftime show. And don't be mad that you weren't called to play the halftime show, because that's not what it's for. That's not what the music's designed to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so when you playing in a club, you playing a performing arts center, there's a certain type of audience that's there. There's a degree of, like, you want to expand your audience so you can bring more people in to check it out. But at the same time, be aware that you're not going to get people that are looking for a certain type of purpose out of a certain type of music to hear your music that's not meant to do that. Like, it's not meant, like I said, it's not meant to be played in the stadium. That's not really what it is. I mean, if these are, generally, I can't say everything, just generally. I think personalities are important in any type of music. Make sure that you have a personality in the way that you play. Whether you playing the ride cymbal over here, you playing the other cymbal over here, it doesn't matter. You playing pocket, you playing swing. It needs a personality in what you're doing. And I think that's going to propel the music, is just people. I remember someone telling me, someone has said, like, you ever think that the most modern thing the music needs is just you playing it? You a new person. Like, it you don't have to try to invent the wheel. You a new person on the earth. So you're gonna have a different perspective than the person that was born 30 years before you. That's just how it is. So I think people need to be more invested in their personality, but also need to be invested in the community that has and have an appreciation for what has been done. Now everyone's going to do that differently, do that very differently, but I think even more than the notes, just conceptually have an understanding of the lineage and what they did and why they did it. It doesn't mean you have to be able to play everything, like not everybody can play the entire history of the music. Like that's
right.
I mean, that's cool, but more so than playing it, just know it.
Yeah.
Just know what it is. So I think that would help. Hopefully that makes sense.
Man, that was good. That was good. Cause I didn't know cause I didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
But that was solid, bro. What's the worst thing to happen to you on a gig? Or what's the worst gig that you've ever had?
The worst gig I've ever had.
Either the worst gig that you've ever had or the worst thing that happened to you on a gig.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you.
Just don't say anybody's name.
No, I won't say anybody.
Don't incriminate anybody. Yeah,
No, I can tell you. Okay, I can tell you. It ends up being good at the end. This is an interesting story I like to tell. Like,
all right, go ahead. Yeah.
It's a funny because I had 2 gigs. Can you hear me? Is my mic?
I got you. Yeah,
okay.
You're good. You're good.
I had two gigs like right after each other on this one day, and they're about 10 minutes apart. So I played in this nice church. There was all these people here taking pictures. They had press, and it was a whole thing, and it wasn't my gig, and it was just really amazing. And I remember, green room was like bigger than the venues, it's like, nice. It was really nice. We had a great time. I remember leaving from there. We went about not even 10 minutes down the street. Right. And I had another gig, and we got to the door, and the dude was like, "Yeah, I got to pat y'all down." I was like, "What's going on?" He was like, "Yeah, someone tried to bring a sword in here yesterday." I was like, "Okay," So he's patting us down at the door. This is not even 10 minutes down the street. So we go in there. He shows me where the piano is at. And there's like all this stuff in it. There's like plastic forks in it. I'm like looking like, wow, this is wild. They had some stuff on the strings trying to keep them together. So I asked the dude, I was like, "Yeah, where's the bench?" And he started laughing. And I was like, "No, I'm serious. Where's the bench?" She's like, "Oh, you're serious?" She's like, "Okay, let me go see if I can find it." So he got the bench. There's this lady explaining to me to run down, trying to give me the logistics. You'll start at this time or whatever. She's, "Yeah, there's this dude that hangs out around here. He tries to sit in, but like you don't have to let him. He can be strange. Like don't let him." And I was
Pause
like,
real
"Okay."
quick. What type of gig is this? Is this a show? Or are you just playing background music? Like what's
it's a
the
show.
scope of the
like
second
it's
gig?
like it's like a show. Like
okay,
it's
so like you and your trio or your quartet.
Yeah, it was a quartet gig.
Yeah.
And it's like a feature. I mean, there was people eating food, but it was like featured, they're not supposed to like completely talk over you. Like they can talk, but they're not supposed to,
Right. Okay, gotcha.
So like don't pay attention to the dude, he just likes to hang around. I'm like, okay. And I was like, "What does he play?" She's like, "I don't know what he plays." I'm like, okay. So he's walking around, he's eating food. I see him eating food, like I don't think he's supposed to be eating. Like, and it's so hilarious. And he's like looking at me, he's like, "Yeah, can I play or whatever?" And I was like, I'm kind of like seeing him like maybe. So he played the first set. It was cool, piano's kind of out, like I was saying. And
how does the piano play? You said there are plastic forks in the piano.
Yeah, there was like some trash like in the piano. It was wild. It was really wild. And so then I see the dude still hanging around, and I'm like, "What do you play?" He's like, "I play bongos." I'm like, "Bongos, like not congas, like bongos."
Not
That's very
not percussion, not bongos specifically.
Very. I'm like, this is really out. Like, when I'm like, wow, So we get to like about the last song of the second set. People were kind of talking kind of loud. It was really kind of strange. No one's really telling you when to stop. This is a number of years ago now, and I was like, you know what? Let's let the dude play. It was like whatever. He was incredible.
Wow.
He was incredible. Like, like to this day, I can't explain it. And how, I mean, we started laughing while we were playing because how ridiculous the situation was.
Yeah.
And for him to be that good was just so funny.
Because of course you thought, all right, bro.
Yeah, right.
It's always that's funny, man. Because I had done a gig at this restaurant, and like there's like nobody there.
Yeah.
What song were we playing, bro? It's probably something Erica might do.
Yeah.
But like this girl, I guess I let this girl come up. No, I didn't let her come up. She just kind of came up. And I was like,
Mm,
but I'm playing. And I'm like, I can't really do anything. So I think
yeah.
she like took the mic and like she started singing. And then like after I let her sing something, she came back up. She's like, give me the mic. I was like, yo, we're about to be done.
Wow.
But she was like, give me the mic. I was like, oh, dog. I was like,
That's
this is
hilarious.
that was weird, man. And then like another time at that same place, like was I playing Superstition? It was something Stevie.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy just came in with the saxophone. He just invited himself. He just invited himself up.
Oh
So
man,
out of
that's so
tune.
funny.
It was out
Yeah,
of tune.
yeah,
It wasn't. I'm not gonna say it was terrible, but on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about a 5. Like I didn't need it. I didn't
yeah. Oh
like
man.
that was weird.
That's
That
so
was weird,
that
man.
reminds me. Someone was telling me that they had a gig and they had a solo gig somewhere. And so their friend just started showing up and playing duo with them on their gig. But then when the friend couldn't make it, he would send a sub. It's like,
And it wasn't their gig.
no.
Oh
So
man, I
funny.
can't make it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Hey man, but I got my boy coming.
that's
It's
so
not your
funny.
gig.
So funny.
That's
Yeah.
funny, bro. Like you just inserted yourself into the gig.
Yep. So funny.
Man, there was
Yeah.
something else. Dang it. Ah, I had something. I had something. Oh, this isn't the same vein, but like
Mhm.
I was doing solo piano at the same restaurant. This restaurant doesn't hire people anymore. Like it was
Yeah.
anyways. So I was playing their solo for like a Saturday brunch or something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't have a tip jar, but I had like a chair out that was like
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
so like someone had put a 5 there. Someone had put a 5. I was like, thank you. You know, I'm just playing. Someone comes over with a 10 and then they take the 5. Like that's just like, oh, like no, I'm only giving you 5. Like
Wow.
let me get my change back. I was like, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna take this for it. I was like, come on, man.
So great.
You could have just
That's so funny.
given me the you would have been okay.
Or just
That's
don't
so
give
tacky.
anything. Or just
That's so
don't.
tacky.
Yeah.
So tacky. Like they're like, let me get my change. Like, but like I'm playing. I'm like, all right, thank you.
That's so funny. Oh man. Yeah, there have been some out gigs. I mean, I used to play I remember when I first got to New York, I was playing in the subway with this dude.
Busking.
Yeah, there was this dude, and we do like okay. We play like 4 hours. Sometimes make better money than we would in a club, which
Oh,
is hilarious. But just dealing with all the personalities of the people that walk
yeah,
past you in the New York subway, man. Oh man, those were some stories for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
man. All right. That's top three piano players. Like national names, and then like top 3 that you know.
Oh, top 3 piano players, just like of all time. You're saying
Your favorite,
my
your top
favorites to
3,
listen to?
your top 3, and they can be your top 3 for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, wow. I try to go. Okay, these 3 piano players, I can say they. I'll say it in order. Like the first person that I really got into was Oscar Peterson. That was the first person I really loved. And at that time, I really didn't like Thelonious Monk because I thought that was like in my brain that was the opposite. Like I didn't really understand it, you know.
It's out there. It's out.
So, but later on, I was like, I started to listen to it and figure out, okay, this is a different type of thing, you know. Both kind of influenced by Art Tatum in a way, but very different,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I would say Thelonious Monk. And then it gets hard. You know,
if you want to do 4 just to keep it safe, you can do 4.
Yeah, I gotta say, definitely McCoy Tyner.
Yeah.
And I would say Phineas Newborn. Those are probably my biggest influences.
Got you.
If I was gonna say another, I'd say Duke Ellington. You know, just
not
just his
fair.
composing, but the way he actually played. But that's what I would say.
That's a fair. That's a good top 5. So
Yeah.
top 3 that you know.
that I know
that like you could call and like, man, my homie, it's killing. Like who, like top
yeah,
three?
yeah. I mean, and there's so many. I mean, someone who I've been super grateful to recently, I've been talking to him a lot. It's great Bill Charlap. If
Okay.
you listen to Bill Charlap, it's ridiculous. It's
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable. Him, Sullivan Fortner, is a
Dog,
great.
he is dope. He is dope.
I don't understand it. I texted him. I was like, I'm upset with you because you're so good.
Mhm.
You know. Oh, there's so many. There's so many.
If you want to do five to keep it safe, and like,
Yeah.
like if you want to do five, like I've been the rules, man.
Um, let me think. I'm trying to think about people I listened to recently. Uh, Benny Green is another
Okay.
great piano player. I mean, he's someone who he's so organized in his understanding of music. Like I remember him, I was talking to him about a tune. He's like, well, on this recording they play this, but on this recording they play this. But then if you go to this recording, they play this chord here. And this one they play, so they have that kind of encyclopedic type of knowledge
Yeah.
about playing, So I mean, the three of them, they've definitely been in my ear. Aaron Deal is someone, we're actually playing a concert very soon. They've been super helpful in my trajectory, at least. Just, like you said,
Yeah.
someone who I know, people who have called me and have helped me,
Nice.
so I'm
No,
really
that's cool.
appreciative to them. Yeah.
Got you. All right. So you have an unlimited budget. Everyone's available. Unlimited availability. Build your super group of musicians with the lead, preferably with the lead singer. You can do whatever you want in whatever band, but like usually like what I've been doing for everyone else is like rhythm section, horn section, lead singer. But like really it's gone off the rails. Like some people be doing 3 keyboard players, like having organ, aux, and lead, and then like but I feel like you're gonna take the classic approach.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only caveat is they just have to be alive.
They have to be alive.
They just have to be alive. But you can
Yeah.
choose whoever to build whatever super group you want. And then it would be cool if you had a lead singer in the front. If you don't want a lead singer, that's fine. But like, so
who I'd like,
and you're not
man.
necessarily in the situation. This is just who you want to see.
Oh, who I want to see.
Yeah. You're not necessarily in the group and building the group around you. It's
Oh,
like
that's
whoever
deep.
you want to see. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. It's funny because I've been lucky enough to have these mentors, but half the time I haven't seen them play with each other. Like I haven't,
Yeah.
So like, that's great. I mean, I would definitely have to see, like, I would love to see, Christian McBride playing bass
Mm-hmm.
with Winton. I've only seen that a few times.
Mm-hmm.
One time I got to play it, I really folded. It's hilarious. That was funny. Yeah, there was that. I would have to say, I would really love to hear. I haven't gotten to hear Kenny Garrett with them with that. Like I haven't heard like Winton and Kenny together. I think maybe it was like one time I heard that somewhere. I don't know. It was like a bootleg or something. Then let's see.
So Kenny Garrett, Winton. We got horns. We got
We
Christian
got
McBride on
McBride.
bass.
We got I would love to hear Brian Blade or play drums or yeah, that would be great. I don't get to hear him a lot. I think I've heard him live like one time. Really that would be nice. The piano gets is tough. I would have said Chick, man.
Yeah.
I would have that would have been an easy one to say Chick. That's a hard one. Sullivan can do anything. I would actually really love to hear Sullivan for him to play piano. That's a specific type of group,
Yeah.
But I know that would be pretty scary.
Yeah, that's a killing group. Do you have a
Yeah.
lead vocalist that you think you'd put up in there to sit in for a few tunes or no?
I mean, I what I will say is that I just a few months ago got to play with Cecile for the first time, the Florence Savant.
Yeah,
And
she's different, man. She's different.
and it was unbelievable. I mean, I remember we had a quick rehearsal and it was ridiculous. Like the rehearsal was crazy. We were just playing duo. The rehearsal was nuts. I was like, okay, like, you know, and then when we got to the gig, it was like she had a whole other thing like that. I didn't even, she like unleashed the other level. Like it was like the bonus level version of her voice.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like,
but like you're already wowed by her at the rehearsal.
Yeah, the rehearsal.
But like when you get to the gig, it's just like, dog, there's more.
I thought, yeah, I mean, she was just chilling at the rehearsal. I didn't realize that. You know,
yeah,
unbelievable. But yeah,
that's a good group, bro. That's a good group. All right, man. Last thing, what's the one thing you want to leave the people with?
One thing I want to leave the people with, yeah, I mean, I think in honor of the Keyz podcast, you know, I think one thing I've been trying to think about, at least for myself, is that you don't have to be a certain thing in order to be a piano player or keyboard player. I think for a long time I felt like I wasn't on the right instrument because I didn't feel like I played it the way I thought it was supposed to be played. So there's room for piano players in many different sizes and shapes and musically, you know, I mean, there's all types of ways to play the instrument, and it's okay to play the way you play.
Yeah, I got you. And that's kind of like why I do the Major Keyz podcast, because like there's so many different types of piano players and keyboard players and organists that I know.
Yeah,
and, you know, and then like most of these people on the show are like my friends, are like my homies. Like there haven't been a couple. There's only been like 1 or 2 people that I haven't really known that I like reached out to like try to talk to. It's just like, and then everyone has a different, not a different perspective, but I mean like their unique perspective on, you know, the instrument and like the business and whatever. Because like, you know, your interview is completely different than you know, whoever. Like, you know, I like J3PO's on this season.
Okay,
like, that's a totally different.
Yeah, of course.
It's a totally different thing, but like it's all like you play the ebonies and you play 88 keys,
right?
You know, and so that's but yeah, that's the reason. That's the reason why I enjoy doing this. Why I enjoy doing this too, because like everyone, like, you know, there's so many ways to play the instrument.
So many.
And then you know, and then you got piano, you got keyboards, you got synth. Like it gets, you know, whatever. But still, you still 12 notes. You get
completely.
Completely. Socials. Where can the
socials
find you?
Yeah. So just Isaiah J. Thompson. You can find me on Instagram. I think on Facebook, just Isaiah J. Thompson Music. You know. Oh yeah, I guess I have a TikTok now. Yeah, you can find me. I think it's just on my Isaiah J. Thompson.
The dances, man?
No, I don't be doing the dances. Yeah, you don't want. No one wants to see that anyway. So yeah, you can find me.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. Y'all go get Isaiah J. Thompson's latest release, The Power of the Spirit. It's on all streaming platforms. Do you have physicals?
Yeah, I do have some physicals. Yeah.
Are they on your website? Like, where are the physicals at?
You can go, you can find them anywhere. I think you can, if you just type it in, you can find it anywhere. A lot of them will be on the Jazz Lincoln Center website.
Okay, Jazz Lincoln Center website. Got you. Yeah, but y'all go get Isaiah's album, The Power of the Spirit. Follow him everywhere. I appreciate y'all for listening to another episode of the Major Keyz podcast. Keep pressing on. We will see y'all next time.
Peace.